Okay, welcome home, YouTubers. We were busy doing the final question of question 7.3.3. They say calculate the initial concentration of sodium hydroxide solution in a 500 cubic centimeters. Now, we were looking at the number of moles of the hydrochloric acid initially. This is from initially, this is it. Finally, we have calculated it here. Finally, we have calculated that it is 0,005 moles. Now, we can take it initially. Now, the total number of moles, equals to number of moles initially subtract the number of moles final. We know that the number of moles initially is this one, is 0,125 minus the number of moles finally, it is going to be 0,005. We have calculated it after we have calculated the concentration of the hydronium ion. Now we're coming to take this, is 0,005 moles. Now when you punch that into the calculator, you find that it is going to be a 0,12 moles, which is 0,12 moles. Moles of what? Of hydrochloric acid. Remember, the hydrochloric acid reacts, we come back here, the hydrochloric acid reacts with sodium hydroxide to form a sodium chloride and water. Now, they want us to calculate the concentration of the sodium hydroxide initially. The questions want us to calculate the initial concentration of sodium hydroxide solution in what? In 500 cubic centimeters. So, in order for us to do that, we know that the concentration is equals to number of moles over the volume. What concentration is this? Of sodium hydroxide. Of sodium hydroxide. This is the concentration of sodium hydroxide. Before we do we know the number of moles of sodium hydroxide? No. Do we know the number of moles of the volume of sodium hydroxide? Yes, it was given as 500. Then the concentration, we want that. Now let's concentrate on the number of moles. 0,12 moles of chlorine, of hydrochloric acid, is going to react with a 0,12 moles of sodium hydroxide. If you understand that, 0,12 moles of hydrochloric acid must react with a 0,12 moles of sodium hydroxide. That's where we have taken it from here. Is the correlations of what? Of the chemical reaction. The number of moles of the sodium hydroxide must be consumed by the number of moles of sodium hydroxide. So the same ratio goes to the sodium hydroxide. So we are going to find that the number of moles of sodium hydroxide is 0,12 divided by the volume. The volume was 500 cubic centimeters. It was given here in 500. So we know that 500 cubic centimeters is the same as 0,5 dm cube. This is moles. Then the concentration is going to be a 0,24 moles per decameter cube. This is the initial concentration of sodium hydroxide. This is the initial concentration of sodium hydroxide. I will put just the concentration of sodium hydroxide like this here. This question needs you to go back and check. You start from the previous video where we have calculated here everything. We started from here, we calculated, we found that 7.3, we said it was an exothermic reaction. We calculated that the final concentration of the hydronium ion was calculated to be, we started with pH minus log of concentration of hydronium ion. We are given that the pH is 2.3. Now we found that when we change this into exponential, we say that the concentration of hydronium ion is equals to 10 to the power minus 2 to the power 3. And when you punch that into your calculator, you get a 0,005. Remember, this is the concentration. It is in mole per decameter cube. Immediately before you leave here, make sure that you find the number of moles of what? Of hydronium ion. The hydronium ion comes from the hydrochloric acid. Now, the number of moles is C times V. Then the C is what we just calculated here. It's concentration 0,005 times. What is this one? One is, because we have a 500 cubic centimeters combined with a 500 cubic centimeters of hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide, they form a 1000 cubic centimeters. Now, when you check, you change that cubic centimeters into decimeter, you find that it is going to be a 1 decimeter cubic. Then you multiply here, you find a 0,005 moles. Then this mole is for final. When we come back to answer this question of saying calculate the initial concentration of sodium hydroxide solution in 500 centimeter cubic, you have a conversion of matrix which has given us that in 500 cubic centimeters there is a 0,5 cubic decimeters. Now you see, you check from the beginning. Initially the concentration of the hydrochloric acid was given as 0,25. You multiply that with a 0,5 decimeter cubic of volume of the hydrochloric acid. We were calculating the number of moles initially. Coming to find that the number of moles initially of hydrochloric acid is going to be 0,125 moles. Now we can subtract these moles from initial and final. The final was 0,005. Now you take 0,125 moles, you subtract 0,005 moles of the same substance, which is hydronium and hydrochloric acid. Remember, hydronium ion comes from the hydrochloric acid. Now you calculate to find that when you multiply these two, when you subtract this one from this one, you get a 0,12 moles of what? of hydrochloric acid. Because the same moles of hydrochloric acid is going to react with the equal moles of sodium hydroxide. That's why we said this moles is going to take part in the sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide moles is going to be 0.12 moles. So the concentration equals to number of moles divided by the volume. Now we are calculating what? The concentration initially of the sodium hydroxide. That's where we come up with a 0.12, which is the number of moles of sodium hydroxide divided by the volume. The volume is 500 cubic centimeters. 500 cubic centimeters is 0.5 decimeter cube. Then it ends up as 0.24 moles per decameter cube. The initial concentration of sodium hydroxide is going to be 0.24 moles per decimeter cubic. YouTubers, chemistry is very simple, straightforward, but you need to be consistent, to know what you're dealing with, to know what is happening, to know the principles of chemistry as well. And the tools that is used for chemistry, you have the log when you're dealing with the pH. Please like, subscribe, share the videos, and comment. The comment is going to help you to say, can you please do this section so that we can understand. I will personally go back and do that problem that you want me to do for you. Thank you very much, YouTubers. Have a great day. Remember, your existence is more important. Your existence is positive. Thank you very much.